I want to show you how an Atlantic spin does have a slight possibility of developing into a subtropical storm. It's a low chance and it will be out in the open waters of the Atlantic, but it will help in drawing some more moisture into parts of the Caribbean. With that said, watching some areas of dust, I want to show you the dust moving in, plus the severe weather threat that's moving across the United States. So a lot going on, different pieces to the puzzle. I'll cover all of that. Here's a different vantage point. This is the dry air tracker. Now, this is well above our heads in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, but I use this kind of behind the scenes often to find some dry air. In this pocket right here where you're seeing some of these oranges, this is the dry air and some of the dust that is about to move in because of the global trade wind pattern. That brings in some of the dust from some of the desert areas that gets kicked up in Africa across the Atlantic into the Caribbean. So this area of dust is about to move in. So let me show you that right now, and then I'll show you that spin that could be a little bit subtropical in nature in the Atlantic, and we'll get to that severe weather threat. Now, this is what's going on now. So to orient us, here's South America. You get over toward Guyana. Here's the Caribbean right here, Barbados, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica right here. Here are the Bahamas. Here's Florida. This orange shading and yellow shading, that's where some of the thicker dust is. That's where it's marching across. Very close to Trinidad as we go throughout the day. We're going to see some of the dust moving in to Trinidad and Tobago as we work our way through the day today, especially deeper into the day. This here is by tomorrow. You see that yellow shading moving into Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Trinidad, and then eventually as we work our way toward the end of the week, that dust surges across the Caribbean, mainly the southern and eastern Caribbean. This here is by the upcoming weekend, Friday into Saturday, and you can see all of this dust out here in the Atlantic, but working in even near Dominica, some of the dust, St. Lucia, and then squeaking across toward the ABC Islands, Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. Now, as it works across closer to Honduras and Nicaragua, it'll start to lose some of its concentration. It won't be as dusty as it moves across, but watching this area of dust. Now, the dust is going to battle a spin up to the north that will help draw in some moisture. So some of us are going to have the dust. Others are going to have some of the rain around. Now, we'll see a little spin here. We have these old fronts that work by, coming out of the United States, working across Bermuda. Sometimes they leave some leftover areas of rain, and that's exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. So here we are in the Caribbean. A little spin develops to the northeast of the Caribbean. Again, it's not a big threat or anything like that, but with this spin here, it does help draw in some more moisture, and you see it right there. This is by Thursday. Through the end of the week, it has a very slight chance of becoming a subtropical storm or the first named system of the season. Most likely it won't happen, but with that spin there, it does just help kind of feed in more rain. You see that green on the map, which would be some of the rain, but on Friday, you see that spin here. Now, with that said, on Friday, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, even if this were to try to develop, it is safely over the open waters of the Atlantic where we like it, so a little spin here, but I will watch it for eventually some rain and some gusty winds eventually pulling over toward the Azores. But even with that spin out there in the Atlantic, it does affect our weather, drawing in some more rain. Now, what do I mean by subtropical? Well, even if it were to develop, it would be more subtropical in nature. That's more of a system that is not as well defined, kind of just a broad spin. You don't have, it's not a classic system. This is an example of one. You don't have a big concentration of winds at the center. So typically it would be a weaker area. It's not like a well-defined system like a hurricane, like a Beryl or a Dorian or anything like that, where you have the concentration of winds and concentration of rain and all that damage right near the eye. So again, if it were to develop, it would be subtropical. Most likely it will not develop, but it will help draw in more moisture. But I am watching it because this time of year, sometimes we do get some development as we get into May, and we're close to May. This is kind of a feel of the hurricane season. Now, the hurricane season starts June 1st, but every other year there's a named system out there in May. So that's why you really need to watch stuff. Usually it's nothing super strong. Sometimes it could be good news, right? Some of us need some rain. Sometimes we could get a weaker system in May nearby that helps bring us a little bit more rain. But as we crank into the hurricane season, of course, we typically get some of the stronger stuff once the hurricane season starts on June 1st, but more so deeper into the season. But again, last year we had Beryl that did start to develop later in in June. The water temperatures are so very warm, and they're warm again. So again, I'm going to watch out for any early season development. No doubt, got you covered right here. So again, thank you for subscribing. But with this area of rain up here trying to develop, it'll be that battle of that moisture feeding in and that dust. We'll watch that. And then you see right in here, Costa Rica, Panama, parts of Colombia, as we talked about the last few days, that better chance of rain. Some of us getting some areas of flooding. So heads up Costa Rica and Panama with some additional rain, especially interior sections of Colombia. So Jamaica, over toward the Bahamas, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. If you get some storms, we could see some flooding. There's that additional rain right there, Costa Rica and Panama. But look what happens with this spin trying to develop tomorrow back to the northeast of us. Some of that moisture feeds in. You see some extra rain, scattered showers near the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. But just as that happens, we know that we're also going to have some of that dust sneaking in here over toward the southeastern Caribbean, St. Lucia, Grenada, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, some of that extra dust. So it's kind of that battle. This here is on Thursday. We have some of the rain on Friday as well, scattered areas of rain, but that dust is still going to be sneaking in and some of that dry air in spots, but we will see a chance of some showers. So kind of watching that dust meeting some of the rain as we work our way toward the end of the week. I'll be tracking that for you as we go ahead. Now, here's that front that moved by with some of that extra moisture in the United States today. It's another severe weather threat. There were a few tornadoes around yesterday. Watching out for some strong winds and a tornado threat in a pretty large area of the United States. Again, a late spring front that is working by. On the back side of it, there is some colder air, and it's that collision of warm versus cold that is allowing that severe weather threat to develop. See even a little bit of that snow trying to squeak into parts of Quebec, and it could even get a couple of snow showers possible as we get into northern sections of Newfoundland as we get into Wednesday night into Thursday. And then we'll keep an eye on another system, and you see more snow for parts of Canada. Not a big snow event, but again, there's still that collision of those air masses. Now, watching those seas. Now, overall, some good news in some of the seas. This is meters, this is feet. Watch this, Caribbean and Gulf. It does get a little bit choppier as we go throughout the day today in parts of the Gulf. Nothing super crazy, but overall, the Gulf and the Caribbean looking good, and much of the Atlantic waters, just a bit of a chop in some spots. So as we go through the end of the week, the sea is actually behaving for the most part. Now, as far as the rain goes, we could get brushed by some showers. We had a few thunderstorms in parts of Florida. We need the rain. We need the rain in the Bahamas. We'll have a chance of a couple scattered showers throughout the day. The rain totals not too high, but where we get a thunderstorm, that's where, of course, that could drop a couple inches of rain or 50 millimeters of rain. Jamaica, our best chance of rain would be, say, over toward Morant Bay, over toward Kingston, eastern side, where we could get a couple of those thunderstorms around. And then the Dominican Republic, we could still get those downpours that could lead to some mudslides. I'm watching some of the rivers and spots, and even some scattered thunderstorms in parts of Haiti. So monitoring that. We'll get some storms around in Puerto Rico. That could lend itself to some river flooding in some spots. So heads up in Puerto Rico, a little more active as we get some scattered storms. Some of that will spill over into the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. St. Kitts and Nevis, we could get some scattered showers. Rain chance not super high, but some scattered areas of rain. And then the rain chance is lower as we work our way into the southeastern Caribbean. And that's where that dust is working in. Picking up some, though, in Suriname, we're going to see some higher totals, upwards of 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain for a 3-day rain total. And some of that kind of drifting its way toward Guyana. But Costa Rica, Panama, parts of Colombia, you see that. Look at those whites showing up. Even some spots for 3-day totals may approach 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of rain. So giving a heads up in some pockets, watching the flooding and even that mudslide potential. Could see a couple showers, Guatemala and El Salvador, and a couple showers possible, a few around parts of Belize and Honduras, although the rain chance is not super high. And even around Mexico City, we could see a chance of a couple showers as we go over the next few days. So 40% chance of showers and storms around to about a 50% chance on Thursday in Jamaica, favoring our eastern side. So you get over toward Montego Bay, for example, rain chance not as high. Cayman Islands, about a 20% chance of a shower over the next few days. Trinidad and Tobago, we have about a 20 to 30% chance. And again, the dust starts to move in today. So thinking of you, if you have, of course, any breathing issues, they're going to be a little bit worse over the next few days, or if you have any sinus issues with the dust that will be moving in. And with that dust moving in, the rain chance stays on the low side in Barbados, and just a 20 to 30% 50% chance as we work our way back through St. Lucia, Grenada. See the next couple days, rain chance staying low and a 20 to 30% chance with some dust arriving St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 30% chance of a shower today in Martinique and a 30% chance the next 3 days as we work our way into Dominica. 30% chance as well generally through the end of the week as we get into Guadeloupe. And then as we bump to the north, the rain chance is higher. That battle between the dust and some of that rain. You see the rain chance tomorrow, 40% in Antigua and Barbuda, and up to a 50% chance on Thursday. And you see it building some as well. St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat will see a better chance of those scattered showers building as well through the end of the week. And Anguilla and St. Bart's, higher chance of scattered showers. Generally not a washout, but there'll be some showers around. You see that as well. St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, rain chance will be higher. Puerto Rico, I am concerned about some isolated areas of flooding. As I mentioned, giving you that heads up, we could get some downpours giving us a quick couple inches of rain. That could lead to some of that river flooding, some of that runoff in some spots. And we'll see some of that as well over toward the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Heads up, scattered areas of showers, may even get a thunderstorm or two. Bahamas, isolated chance of a shower. We need the rain, but the rain chance generally staying on the low side. Turks and Caicos, 10 to 20% chance. The Dominican Republic, well, not all of us get the rain. Where we get it, watching the river crossings, because we're going to see the rivers rising in spots, watching out for flooding and the possibility of mudslides, even some of that in Haiti, especially closer to the Dominican Republic. We're looking at about a 40 to 50% chance of rain. Belize, a couple isolated showers are at about a 30% chance today, 20 to 30% chance Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. The next few days, we'll see a couple showers nearby, and then late in the week, we'll watch some of that dust that will be working across that I showed you. And you see in Guyana and even in Suriname, the rain chance building again. So we're going to monitor that flood threat. Rain chance about 30% in Cuba. We're talking about an isolated shower storm. 60 to 70% chance, though, Costa Rica and Panama. And I highlighted some of that flood potential earlier. Nicaragua, 30 to 40% chance. 20 to 30% chance of a passing shower in Honduras, and about a 40% chance today, Guatemala and El Salvador, and a 30 to 40% chance of a couple showers around Mexico City, 20 to 30% chance across the Yucatan Peninsula. May see a shower or two around Merida. Northern Colombia, that high chance of rain, especially as you get more to the south. Same thing as we work our way into northern Venezuela. One front to the east of Bermuda, another one back to the west. We're mainly on the dry side the next couple of days. So a subtropical storm, some development is possible out there, but that is such a low chance. But either way, that draws in some areas of rain, and either way, that area is going to be over the open waters of the Atlantic. But that higher chance of rain coming for us, I mentioned the northeastern Caribbean, while in the southeastern Caribbean, we have some of that dust around. Now we're just 33 days away from the start of the hurricane season. Hope you're having a good start to the week so far. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead. I will see you again soon.